Hey everyone. Today we're diving into a topic that might seem a bit heavy at first, but trust me, it's fascinating. Nihilism. This philosophical doctrine challenges some of our deepest beliefs about life, meaning, and purpose. So if you've ever found yourself staring up at the stars and wondering, what's the point of it all? Well, you've come to the right place. So what is nihilism all about? Alright, so let's start with the basics. What is nihilism anyway? In simple terms, it's the belief that life doesn't have any inherent meaning, purpose, or value. It's the kind of perspective that makes you question everything. Like, is anything really worth doing if, in the grand scheme of things, nothing matters? That might sound a bit unsettling, and you're not alone if you feel that way. But nihilism isn't just about doom and gloom. It actually offers some deep insights into what it means to be human. Let's explore. Nihilism isn't a new idea. You could say it has ancient roots, going all the way back to thinkers like Socrates and Buddha, who both questioned the nature of reality. But it wasn't until the 19th century that the term nihilism really caught on, especially in Russia, thanks to writers like Ivan Turgenev and, of course, the infamous Friedrich Nietzsche. Nietzsche, you've probably heard of him, right? He's the guy who said God is dead. And what he meant was that traditional values, particularly those from religion, were losing their grip on society. Without those values to guide us, humanity was left trying to find or create meaning on its own. Now, nihilism isn't just one thing. It's actually a bunch of different ideas bundled together, each questioning different parts of our lives. Let's break it down. Metaphysical nihilism. This one's a doozy. It basically says that maybe nothing really exists, or if it does, it's beyond our understanding. Imagine if reality itself was just one big illusion. That's metaphysical nihilism. Epistemological nihilism. This is about knowledge. Can we ever truly know anything? Epistemological nihilism says probably not. It's super skeptical, suggesting that all our beliefs could be built on shaky ground. Existential nihilism. This one's the most famous. It says life has no inherent meaning or value. Everything we do is ultimately pointless. Depressing, right? But hold on, we'll see there's more to it than just despair. Moral nihilism. Moral nihilists argue that there's no such thing as objective good or evil. Morality to them is just a human construct, so no action is inherently right or wrong. Political nihilism. Lastly, political nihilism rejects all political institutions, saying they're arbitrary and should be dismantled. This one had a lot of influence during the Russian Revolutionary period, when people were questioning traditional power structures. Speaking of Nietzsche, he's often thought of as the poster boy for nihilism, but he actually had a pretty complicated relationship with it. Nietzsche saw nihilism as something that was happening to society, a crisis of meaning after the decline of religion. But he didn't think it was the end of the story. Instead, he saw nihilism as an opportunity. Without old values weighing us down, we could create new ones. Enter the Übermensch, the overman or superman, an individual who creates their own purpose and lives authentically. For Nietzsche, nihilism was something to overcome, not something to wallow in. And this is where existentialism comes into play. You might have heard of Jean-Paul Sartre or Albert Camus, two big names in existentialism. They agreed with the nihilists that life lacks inherent meaning. But instead of giving up, they said, hey, let's create our own meaning. Sartre put it this way: existence precedes essence. In other words, we aren't born with a purpose. We make our purpose through our actions. And then there's Camus, who loved to talk about the absurdity of life. He thought our search for meaning in an indifferent universe was kind of like the myth of Sisyphus, constantly pushing a boulder up a hill, only for it to roll back down. But for Camus, the point was to keep pushing anyway and find joy in the struggle itself. Now, nihilism isn't just an intellectual exercise. It can have real effects on how people feel. It's not uncommon for people who dive into these ideas to experience despair, alienation, or even depression. If nothing matters, why get out of bed, right? This is sometimes called nihilistic paralysis, where you feel so overwhelmed by the lack of meaning that it's hard to act at all. Arthur Schopenhauer, another big influence on nihilism, believed life was pretty much just suffering. He thought our striving for meaning was bound to leave us frustrated. But he also thought that art and renouncing our desires could help us cope. On the flip side, some thinkers say that embracing nihilism can actually be freeing. If nothing matters, then we're free from societal expectations and pressures. We can live how we want to live, not how others tell us to. You've probably seen nihilism pop up in popular culture more than you realize. Think of Fyodor Dostoevsky's novels like The Brothers Karamazov, where characters struggle with the idea of a godless world, or Franz Kafka's bizarre, surreal stories like The Trial, which reflect the absurdity and confusion of life. In movies, you get films like Fight Club and The Big Lebowski, characters who reject societal values and struggle with the idea that nothing really matters. Even the Coen brothers love playing with themes of absurdity and randomness in their films, showing us a world where meaning is, well, pretty hard to pin down. Of course, nihilism has its critics. Many people think it's just too negative and that it could lead to destructive behavior. If nothing matters, why be kind? Why not just act in your own self-interest? Critics argue that this kind of moral nihilism can be dangerous. And then there's the issue with epistemological nihilism. If we can't know anything for sure, then how can we even be sure that nihilism is true? It's a paradox that makes extreme skepticism a bit tricky to defend. So there you have it. Nihilism is all about questioning the things we often take for granted, the meaning of life, the value of our actions, and the nature of reality itself. For some, nihilism is a freeing realization. For others, it's a tough existential crisis. But maybe the takeaway is this. While nihilism tells us that life doesn't come with built-in meaning, it also means we get to decide what matters. Whether it's creating art, helping others, or just enjoying a good cup of coffee, the meaning we give to our own lives is what counts. It's up to each of us to write our own story, even if the universe doesn't care. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this exploration into the world of nihilism, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more philosophical deep dives. Until next time, keep questioning everything.